Okay, so the second session is about the designer. We are going to go much closer and look at the designer, all the properties in it in this session.
No.
So we will be deep diving now. Okay. So what are we going to learn from this session? The main objectives are create and modify report page layout using report resource designer. We are going to look at the sub-reports to work with multiple table data sources, adding VB script logic for dynamic layout modification, and use and create new templates allowing standardization. So we did look at templates briefly. We are going to see how making changes affects the other one, just like how we did for logo. Okay.
Okay.
We did look at the designer in the first session. What are the roles which are needed and how to access those designer. So it's a graphical drag and drop tool for editing any reports out there. There are two options to access it. One is through the application. Both can be done only in .NET. You cannot make any design changes in Web UI. You need to have two roles added to your user. One is report design and another is report admin. So those are the two roles which needs to be given access to for your user who is going to make any design changes. Yeah. There are two ways to invoke them. One is using the report resource designer, which we had saw, and another option is going to the report itself. And if you want to make a change, as long as you have access to the report design role to yourself, you can do a right click on the menu on the report which you want to make change to, and go to the design, and from there it'll take you to the designer. So once you're in the designer, there are 4 sections, and we will go through each of them. There is primary toolbar on the top. There is a toolbox on the left. There is property panel on the left, and then the main page design panel. So if you look at this from your designer, this section is the main designer panel where you make your layout. This section is the toolbox where you have all the controls and the temp tables associated to a report. This section is for the properties, for any object which you add here or for the report property. And on the top where all the tools which are required for you to create new reports. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you click in the slideshow mode for us?
Yeah, we'll do.
Thanks. Great, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so at this moment, I will switch to the designer itself and go over each of them. Okay. So we will pick the example what we had worked with. So if you look at the Merrill inventory report, which we had worked with, this on the top is your toolbox, and this toolbox have access to, we'll go over each of them on the top and then go on the secondary toolbox. So that primary toolbox on the top has access to report resource maintenance. For example, if you're working on a report and you want to see what is your proxy, you don't necessarily have to go from report resource maintenance. You can go to report resource maintenance directly from here. You can click on the report resource maintenance here. It will direct you to report resource maintenance, and then you can open your report resource maintenance and see what's your data source, your what type of data source it is, what's your program and stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Actions. If you click on the actions, there is export metadata, enable data export, and enable data import. These are 3 options. Export metadata exports the metadata definition of the report. So if we go here, and if I export this, look at this file, you will see all your what is your filter criteria, and it tells you whether what is the associated to that, any lookups associated. So it gives you the metadata information of the report. So when you run the report, all these options, what you see on the top, these are metadata information. Okay, the properties of the field, the operator, um, whether it's a mandatory operator or not, is there any lookup associated. So all that is there in the metadata meta.xml file. Okay, and if we go to enable data export, this is one option of debugging. When you click on this, it creates a data XML file. You can save it here, and when you originally save it, it's not having any content, so it can see 0 KB. But when you preview and run it, so you can see it has filled in the data here. And if you open this file, so it has all the elements and all the data which is coming from your data source. So this file has the data which has been returned by the data source. Okay, so at times you may see your report is not displaying certain fields, but you know that, and you want to know whether the data is coming from the data source or not. Is it a problem in your data source, or is it a problem in your report itself, in your design itself? That can be determined by exporting the XML. So here you can see that's the temp table. This is the table, the contents which is returned by the browse. Okay.
So if you run this report again, is it going to override
So
the
this is the
data inside? So you run it once, you fill the data in XML. If you run it again, is it going to override this data?
Yeah, it's going to override that data. Yes.
So you
But
can't
not in the
keep
database,
the
right?
No. I mean, like in the XML file, is it going to constantly overwrite it with the latest report?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Every time to run the report. So it's only a debugging mechanism. You would not keep this, so you can cancel out once it is once you have debugged it. It's a debugging mechanism. Sometimes, I have had instances where I have to add a new field onto the screen, but I don't know, or in certain instances where the value is or a null value, but I know that there is value coming from the data source. So that's one way to identify whether is there a problem in my layout, or is it a problem from my data source itself where the value is not sent. So this is one way to know it. Okay. Enable data import is another option. I haven't used this, but this allows you to import the data from an external source. So for example, if your report is running with the content which comes from an external source, you could use that enable data import option to pull in the information, and then you can use that data to generate your report. Okay, but this is not, it's only Not extensively used. I haven't used it myself. Okay. New, as we had done this yesterday, new allows you to create a new report from a maintenance program itself. It opens up a wizard. You go through the process of selection. It's your data source, your layout, your field, and summary. Okay. So we will go through this option again. Open allows you to, if you're working on a design which is already existing, you can select which design you want to open, and it will allow you to open the design whichever you want. Close, it closes the design itself. You can open this one again. Open, close, save, and save as, those are standard. Delete is also we have seen. Manager function allows you to select, allows you to see what is the template which is used by the report, and also to set the report layout which is default. Okay, so this is one option for you to do that. Preview option is for previewing any change what you have done. Typically, if you are working on a report, say for example, you have an issue in production, you don't want that issue is not happening in other environment, it's only in production. One way to debug would be save that particular design as a version 1 or version 2 or what a working version, and use that to do the preview and make any change if you need. As long as the change is not pushed to web UI, it will not reflect there. You can make, it's one way of, and also the one which is set as default, that's the one which users will be using. Though it will show the design on the layout, it's still not the default layout. So you could make any debugging changes if you need. Okay, so the preview mechanism is to preview any changes what you have done. Validation, it's not a true validation. If there is any XML changes what you're doing, then it validates the data, validates the setup, and brings whether if there is any error or not. Okay. Edit report definition file. This is only going to show the XML for that layout which you have selected. So for example, there are two different layouts here. The one which I've selected, this is the definition for it. Okay, it shows you all the objects which is there on the screen. So for example, part label, which is this one, what is the where is it, width and alignment, all the objects properties here. Okay,
Basically,
section by
fine-tuning
section.
here.
So, yeah, it can be fine-tuned here. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you put the pixel left, pixel right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This above option, this is only a version of the designer. It's not the design version. So this is only useful for QAD internally. It tells what is the designer version, not the design version itself. Okay. All right. So any questions on the primary toolbar? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So when you clicked on close and then open, the only report it was the Marrel report.
Yeah, because I have opened the design directly from the Merrill report, that is why. So since I've opened this one, it will only show that. But if I go to report, resource designer
Staying on top of
and then open it,
report manager.
then it will show all the reports here.
Right, okay.
Here it says Mario inventory report, and that's why it's looking for this too.
Because
This
I
one
just
is
I
looking
mean,
for the
this
main.
has come up with that.
Yeah, probably you did it from within that.
Yeah.
He is a cheater. He is. He have his laptop here.
You could have brought yours.
Going to be difficult with my workstation.
So if I look at the purchase order print, for example,
Is it using
some
an
time to open it. What's that, Johnny?
Is it using an active report? So it's going to be with Mario's logo now.
Depends if it's portrait.
We changed both, I believe.
No, we only changed.
Did we?
Yeah, we only did portrait.
Oh, portrait. Why did it landscape and it pops up? Oh, we've created the Mario one on a portrait.
Mm.
Okay. I thought we've done both. Easy enough.
Okay, so this is the purchase order print, and you can see how the design is split into different tool panel here. So at this moment, what I can do is I can create a new design for PO print and start with that separately and show you how we can create a new layout by itself. Okay. So whenever I want to make a new design change, I would so if that's a report altogether. Okay, so I would say it new and select the report portrait. Oh, sorry, that's hold on, let me start from the designer.
Yeah.
So where I would start from the report resource first. So I would use the PO print as an example and I'll show you. So QD print PO, that's the report resource which I'm using. And then I go to the, so whenever you hit the report new button, it always opens this wizard and it starts from the data source. So you would select the data source first, which is your report source itself based on the proxy. And then it goes to the template. You could select whatever template you would prefer to. I would start from active template portrait. And then it will my data source. The main table is my PO master. So I'm going to start with the PO master first. So here you can see that this particular proxy has returned multiple temp tables. Okay. It's one single data set, and I'll show you the data set later. But the data set has almost 8 to 9 temp tables in it. Okay. And each of those temp tables has individual fields in it. So I'm going to start with PO master. That's I need to select one, and the data source, the wizard only allows me to select one temp table. Okay, you cannot select multiple. So here I'm going to select PO master, and here I'm going to keep it as portrait mode and column spacing. And in here, I have to group my report. I can go without grouping as well, but I'm going to group it by PO number. So I want to have individual POs on separate page. So PO number is my grouping. And then I would add PO number site as well, by site as well. Okay. And then in the detailed section, I would not put anything for now and do next, and finish. So you can see here what it did is it split my PO layout the way I wanted. So it's by PO number and PO number site. And now here I can add the supplier information and the site information in my section which I need. So I'm going to delete these two fields. And I'm going to add, so here in this section, if I have my control. So
You there, Majesh?
in the report section shows the
So yeah, you dropped out for 10 seconds.
okay. All right.
So
Did you hear me saying?
Delete the fields, that was all.
So did you see the fields which I selected and then did a group by which I used as PO number and PO number site?
Yeah, they were in your group header, which you've now removed. Yeah.
That's the grouping which I used. Yeah. So once you select that, it builds your main report panel. Okay. And your report panel is split into header, footer, which is for the report itself. Then you have the page header and the page footer. Then you have the grouping, if at all you have added any grouping. So in my case, I have added two grouping, which is by PO number and by PO number site. So the group header, in each of those group header will have its own page footer as group footer as well. So group header 0 has group footer 0 and group header 1 has group footer 1 as well. And then the detail section. So how it executes it is this section runs per report. So for the individual report run, it executes the header panel once, page header panel for each page, group header panel for each group of that group. So for each PO number, it would execute this section, the group header 0 and group footer 0. Group header 1, which is on the PO number site. So there's no difference between PO number and PO number site. It's this number and by site. Okay. And then under the group header 1 PO number, I have the detail. So the detail will be run for each of those PO number. That's how it works. Okay. So imagine a situation you want to display certain, like the query logo, the report heading on each page. So that's why I have it on page header. Okay. But if you want your report heading to be displayed once only for the report, you would move this section above that. Okay. And if you don't want this end of report, I would remove this one if I don't want.
You'd move page header into header.
Yes, if I don't want that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I want my report heading I would change this to purchase order print if I need. So right now, when I do that, you can see modifying page header will separate it from the template section. Are you sure you want to proceed? So what it's doing is it's the change what I did to the report heading object, which was inherited from the template. I am decoupling it from the active template portrait. So when it does that, you can see here on the left hand side. So it has inherited the class page header heading. What I'm doing here by doing this is I'm decoupling it. So if there is a in the template, that change will not be reflected in this report. Okay.
Losing you.
I'm going to
again.
change it. Can you hear me?
We can now, but we keep losing you for 5 or 6 seconds, and it's a bit like a Dalek. Like now.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, now we'll let you know when it drops again.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Because we've connected at our end through an Ethernet cable, so our end is fast.
Okay.
So
Is it okay now?
yeah.
Better? Okay.
So we got the
okay. Is it did you hear about me talking about the report heading section where I separated the report heading from the template itself?
Yes.
So when I change the report heading, what I'm doing is the report heading object, I'm separating it from the template. So if I make any change to the template, active portrait, and I change the report heading in the template, that change is not going to be reflected here because I separated the report heading object from the template. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So that's what I did right now. And here on the left-hand side, you will see only the temp table, which I selected in the report wizard.
Yeah.
In the report section. If you go to the data section, it's split into fields, parameters, and report settings. If you want to add any new field from the temp table, it's in the field section. So if you open up your field section, it will show you all the fields which are part of that temp table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the build to fields in this section.
Right.
Okay. Before I do that, I'll add a rectangle so to keep them together, and then add the build to fields under it.
Okay. What did you add?
Yeah, so I'm going to do that. 1 second.
The square. What is the square?
Yeah, so
What?
this is a square which I added from the controls. It's the rectangle.
Okay, the right angle. Okay.
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 Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm going to create that in a box itself so that it's in a group. Okay. Go back to and while I'm doing this, you can do that as well as a exercise. You can pick an example. You can pick the PO print itself as an example and start doing the same activity what I'm doing. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't really follow along so easy because, let's say, my laptop is replicating your screen. Steve has got his laptop, and that's it really. So we're following along. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, as long as you are with me, that's fine. All right. So if I want to add my build to into the box, what I have to do is I have to select that field, drag and drop it. When you drag and drop it here, it adds this plus sign. So you just click on where you want to place it, click and
That's all.
drag it.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And when you drag it, it will have the text and the field name. So that's the field name, field 2. Whenever I do this, I always keep my field name same as my the text itself. So the text is the value which is going to come from my temp table. So this is the value, you cannot change it. This is the value which is the field from the temp table itself. So you see it's grayed out. That's the label or the control itself. So I'm going to name it as control, build to one control. That is the naming convention which we follow. And I'm going to add the rest of the ones as well. Here, build to, I'm going to name it as build to control. And I'm going to call in the rest of the ones.
So in the data section, is it only showing you build to 5 because build to 5 is what you've got selected in the field above?
You mean this one in the properties?
So the way your mouse is now in the field section, highlighted is build to 5. And in the
Yeah.
section below,
Yeah.
under the data
This is
section,
the property of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the data section has the field. When I drag and drop it, it opens up the field property of it. So when I click on this, that object on the right, it shows the property of that object. So that build to 5.
Your panel in the bottom left is just the property of that field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build to 4, for example,
You can change the font.
Yeah.
it's already that object. So it's this here on the left hand side down below is the property.
Connection's going again.
Yeah, I know. Not sure. I have a good speed myself, so I'm not sure where the problem is.
Yeah, we've got 600 meg, so it's not here.
Okay. Let's continue.
You know, in the designer, you said it's good. It's good to rename the field to like field to control, or why do we need that in the designer?
Yeah, I'll come back to
Then
that. So if you see here, yeah, so if you add fields and you don't rename it, okay, if you will, if I click on here in the group header section on the left here, okay, and go under the group, when I select this section, it automatically determines which section I've selected, which is group header 1. If you scroll this under, it shows all the objects of that report on the left here. Okay. And group header 1 has all these fields here. Imagine a situation if you're in a report, if you don't name it, you don't know what is field 1, what is field 2, what is field 3. I don't know that by looking at it, because this object on the right it just shows me the field itself. It doesn't tell me what field it is. So
So
it's a
it doesn't
good
pull the
technique to name them. Yeah, it doesn't call you out, right? So you'll not know. And if you have hidden these fields, if there are multiple fields, for example, let me show you the invoice print. Or even the standard purchase order print, right? Let's see.
And your bill 27 has not got an underscore. I don't know whether you meant to or.
Yeah, I will add it. So let me show you the standard one. It's opening.
It stopped your end, Natasha. Kind of frozen.
Yeah, it's not. It's still spinning. The environment is so slow. It's just taking time to load. Normally, it is not so slow. Okay. All right. So if you see here, you can see here how my supplier and my ship-to fields are separated out. If I click on, say, for example, I want to see what are the objects in this one. Oh,
What one? Can't see where you point.
Yeah, there's so many objects in, right? So you don't know which field it is correctly. You're going to lose your control on the field. That's a good practice to do it. You don't necessarily have to do it as long as you know which what. But if you look at some of the standard reports, especially purchase order print, maybe not a good example, but let me see if in the detailed section if there is anything which I can. Yeah, so here you can fields as well. Okay, and there is all this lines here. You see, those are sub reports and under itself, like line content and things like that. If you name it, like for example, not all are named, but you can see the pattern. Everything has its own name to it. The objects itself has the control, but if it's a label, the label is named with the label name of it. That's the pattern which we follow. So
I can see. I can
not
see on the
a hard and
left-hand
fast
side.
rule, but
Yeah. It was
Okay, go
all
on.
kind of jumped.
Yeah. That's what's got that, isn't
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. You had a question.
Yeah, the screen's changed now, but so on the left-hand side where you see you've got the properties of the design where you've changed the name of the field to, I don't know, build to 8 control. You don't see that on the right-hand side, only on the left. So when you're saying, "Oh, you've changed the name of the field," I'm not really getting. I'm not really getting.
You're not.
Yeah.
I will give you an
Okay.
example, Gary. If I have a button and this button is pulling save function. If you don't name the name of the button like a save button, you might have like 10,000 buttons and you don't know what button one is doing. This is what he's saying. It's a good practice.
So we've got build 2.9 here, for example, yeah?
This field, this should be called build _9 control in his mind, because when you open the whole group of this, it's going to say field 2 if it's not
Field
saved.
1. Yeah.
Of,
Yeah. So if you're not named it, yeah. Let me. Oh, it's so slow.
Yeah. Right.
System is constantly crashing at the moment.
That's not responding, yeah.
Yeah, the client is so slow today. Sure. Okay, give it some time. So if you have the design open for the PO print, if you click on the build to 9, you will see the property of it. The property will say build to _9 _ control. That it's a good practice to name your objects. If you don't name your objects, the field will have, or the object will have field 1, field 2, field 3, depending on how those fields were added on the screen. It's easier to lose track of the field.
Field already says build 9, build 2.9.
Yeah.
Why would you have the control to it? I don't understand what the control element is giving.
It's just like naming. Yeah, so it is a good practice to name your field. The reason is, I'll show you why. You may understand it a little bit later when I talk about scripting. You can add scripting to hide certain fields. Okay, so for example, I want to display my order date only, or maybe not order date, but ship via, for example. I want to display my ship via only if I have a value in it. Okay, and I want to hide the ship via if I don't have a value in it. Okay, so that can be done by dynamic scripting. So in your designer, there is an option where it's so slow. I'm just hating it right now. So if you click on the group header 0, so for example, okay, let's come back now. So here on group header, and I'll be talking about scripting a little more, but I want to give you an example right now when you have that question. So if I am in group header 1 and I don't have a value for ship via, for example, okay, let me add that field in here. Where's my ship via? Here, ship via. Okay, now added that field, which has given a name for it. Okay, field 4, for example. Okay.
What do you
Now,
I just 4.
It just gives it a name.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
yeah, I did not change the field 4. That the system gives the name based on how I add that. Okay, so it picked ship field 4 because I have field 1, 2, 3 already existing on the screen. So field 2, field 3, field 1, 2, field 1 is the box. Field 2 is field 2, 6.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've
Field
not
3
seen the
is
blue.
build to 7 because
Okay.
yeah. So if you look at build to 6, it has the field 2 here on the left hand side on the properties. You can see here. I did not change it.
Yeah.
That's why it's still field 2. Build to 7 has field 3 because I did not change it. So when I added the PO ship via, that naturally is the next sequence in the objects addition. Yeah. I did not change it. So now imagine a situation you want to add a logic to display the peer shift via only if there is a value in it. Okay, and that's like dynamic reporting or dynamic display. Okay, so what you do is you go to the group header 1. There is this script here on the left hand side on print. So what you would do is you would add a VB script in the on print event, on format and on print. And the on print, you would add a script here saying peer ship via. So when I clicked on that, so I can say peer ship via dot peer ship via is not equal to blank, then field 6 because I know, field 4 because I know it. I'll say visible.
Dropping again, Roger. We missed something.
Yeah. So I'm just adding the VB script.
Yeah.
So he's using Visual Basic language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm adding the
Yeah.
VB script here. So I'm saying if my peer ship via is not equal to blank, then I'm going to make the field 4, which is the object's name, and the visible property of it, I'm going to make it true. If there is no value, then I'm going to make it false. Right now, I know the field name. But if you have multiple fields here, you will not know the field name, right? You don't know what field it is. So that's one way to know it, right? So if you know the field name, if you have given a pattern or a naming convention like peer ship via, that's when you know it. So it's easier to control it, and it's easier for anything behind it if at all you have to do it. That's the only good way for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only reason we give the names. And also, if you look at the group header 1 section, if I click on this section, it opens the group header 1. And if you scroll through the drill down, it tells you all the fields which is part of group header 1. So group header 1 has all these objects which I've given name to it, and the ones which I did not give name to it, it still tells it's field 2, field 3, field 4, but I do not know what field 2 is. Unless I click on it, then it tells me, oh, that's built to 6. Yeah.
Right.
Field 3,
Yeah.
that's built to 7. So I will not know it if I don't give a name to it. And if you imagine if you have like 20 to 30 objects in this box, then it's easier to lose track of those fields.
Yeah, that's
the
clear.
only reason.
Thanks.
Okay.
And the other thing is you collapse them when you make them. So if I click on the header, I can find in which header it's a field that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Easier.
So if you click on the header, it's easier. It's easier to track it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is now I can move this objects all around. So if I want to move my build to section onto the group header 0 section, I can click on here and go to that objects, and if I click on right control and control shift, it will keep on selecting all of them. And then I can just drag and drop wherever I want. Just drag it. So it will go up on the section where I wanted it. I can select the multiple fields. I can select PO number, and I can select purchase order label as well by pressing the control. And then I can just scroll it and drag it wherever I need. I can move these objects as well by selecting all of them together. I can move it around. I'll put the bill to here, and then I think I forgot to select bill to 1. So escape. Select all of them by pressing the control. Press down bar to move it down, and then bring it back here. And I can move my PO number to the left. And then if I want to add any new fields, I can do that. And also I can pick a particular object, for example, purchase order. I can copy paste it. So it has copy pasted the label. So this is the label. And I can move it to the left and change it if I want it. I can click on this one. I'm going to change it to bill to label. So instead of PO number, so I used one label and changed it to another. And here in this section, the labels always has a text associated. And when you put a $sign and parentheses, and if you have the term, what it's doing is it's converting the label term to whatever term it was for the language. Remember on the first day, we looked at the architecture where the pre-rendering engine converts the labels into the right language. It's using this text. So when you say bill to in parentheses, it uses the user's language. If you put directly something like this, bill to, it will always print bill to. But if you put around $sign and parentheses, bill to, it's what it's going to do is it's going to convert that bill to label based on the label master. Go to label master, browse, and look for the bill to. Bill underscore to. Yeah. So it's going to convert the label term bill underscore to replace it with the long label, which is bill to. Okay. So I'm going to put that label term, which is bill to. So what it does is I can put, if I want to have the long label, I can put L. That means it is going to use the long label. If I want to pick the medium label, put M at the end, and then it will pick the medium label. But if I don't put anything, based on the width of that object, it will automatically pick the right label which fits in that section. Okay.
Can you change your group header?
What do you want me to change it to?
No, I'm just asking in general. Can you change your group header?
You mean the group header text, is it?
Well, what is he
Or the
reporting?
name?
Oh,
You want?
It'll be the ship, it's the built-in
Yeah.
address and purchase order number.
yeah. Can you change this?
You want to change the name of it? Is it?
No.
I want to change what is reporting, what is in this group here.
That's what we've just been doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's been in the group header section. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Yeah, okay. No, it's me not understanding what.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's look at the order date. PO. Yeah. Only thing which is quite complex here is to pick the right fields, because it has every field from the PO master, because the temp table is defined as like PO master. So you'll see all the fields which are part of the PO master table. Okay.
Yeah. It's order date, isn't it?
PO, yeah, I'm looking for, I didn't see that PO underscore ORD date. I passed it, I think.
Yeah.
I tracked it. Oh, no. Yeah, PO order date. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the order date. Now, if I have my fields which are not aligned, I can. So these two fields are not aligned. I can select the field and the field which I want to align it with at the end and say align top. So when I do that, it aligns the fields on the top. And if, say, for example, these objects which are build 1, build 2, build 3, build 4, 5, 6, 7 are not aligned correctly, I can select all the fields. Okay, these are kind of equal length, but really not. So what I can do is I can say equal size. So it makes it equal size. And then I can say align to the left. So it aligns to the left. And also equal vertical spacing. So it puts the right spacing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are all these properties which is here on the right. So these are secondary toolbar properties where you can use them and have equal lengths and equal height, however you want to, and align it correctly. Okay. Yeah. And also, if, say, for example, I change the color, back color of this, yeah, I'm going to change it to some fancy color here. Okay.
I think these are good examples, yes, for form type reports. If you do,
yeah, exactly,
column-based report, you'd never really use this sort of stuff, would you?
Right. I wouldn't use that for any report-based reports, not really. But form-based report, these are very important because I want to space my fields correctly. I want to use the right space because the space is so constrained. It's so important because you want to minimize the usage of space on your form and use it efficiently. So this is very important, especially like PO print, sales order, invoices, all those customer facing documents. This is very important.
We won't be changing those.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, if I can also, I'm not going to change the field names because it's taking a lot of time. So I'm just going to copy the labels. I'm going to make it as equal align at the top, and then I will change this to order date. So if I put something like ORD date, that's what it will print. Okay. And here I can add the supplier information, which is my vendor information. So I'm going to copy this box around it here, and I'm going to make one more. and then add all my vendor properties. Okay, and then I can select all of this and equal size, align to the left, vertical spacing. I can reduce the space maybe and make it of equal size. So whatever object which I selected at the end, it uses that space, that object's size for spacing. And then I can, let me increase this. Then I'll add the ship to.
Could you highlight
Okay.
all of those fields and drag them in one go?
Yeah, so if I want to highlight all these fields, I can also, since I have selected the box, and I can unselect the box. Okay, let me remove it, and then I can just set, move my pointer, click on it, and then just drag it. So that allows me to select all the objects in that section.
So what I mean, when you're dragging them from the reports box on the
No, you have to individually drag and drop it. Unfortunately, you cannot select multiple.
right.
Yeah, that's not possible, unfortunately. So I'm going to just place this back and then have my center back. Objects with the same size, left, vertical spacing. Okay, so I have my top portion ready now. I can just preview it for now if I want to. So that has the PO number. So I will say unprinted POs only as no. And then I'll say update as no, so that it prints the printed POs as well. And I'll select few POs from here and try to print it.
What was that? Error.
An error. So let me pick an example. See if I can. Do I have added any? Yeah, let me remove this. Yeah, actually for now. Because I removed the peership via, but I had the script there. That's why it was erroring out, because I don't have that field anymore. Okay, so that's my bill to, that's my order date, my supplier, my ship to address. Okay,
Mhm.
so I can add my, copy this here, and say supplier and ship to. Okay, so once I've done with this, I'm okay with my header section. And then I want to add my details section. Before I do that, any questions till now? I know the connection is a bit choppy, but I guess you're understanding what I'm trying to convey here through the example.
Yeah.
I think two things to point out. I think I get it now with the fields and the layouts and aligning and top and right and all that sort of stuff. That's fine. So yeah, from a theoretical point of view, I think we're good. But like I said, I think from a practical point of view, it's so rare that we're going to be doing this type of report. But
So out of the standards.
it'll
Yeah.
be column type
Yeah.
reports that we'll be
This
doing.
is so
But
out.
I understand it. I think I understand. I didn't to start with the fields, but I got it now. Yeah, I've got it.
I think it looks a lot like a VBA, so it's very close.
I've never done VBA.
I've done a
Your example, I guess your example would be more inclined toward how we did the Merrill inventory report, right? That would be your practical example.
Sorting and grouping and totaling, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can switch it back to that. I just wanted to show you what is the best way, and I wanted to just show you the grouping.
It's worth looking at, but it helps.
Yeah, I wanted to just show you a practical example of it, and once I've done with it, we can switch back to the inventory report and show you some another examples as well. Okay. All right. So you have all the fields here. Okay. From the PO print. So you have seen the temp tables, you have saw all the fields which are available here. You can just drag and drop wherever you want, whatever section you want it to be displayed. So that's in the data section. If you go to the control, so we were looking at the fields.
Yeah.
If you go to the parameters, those are reporting parameters. I haven't used, so if you want to see what is your language, and if you want to get that, you could use parameters for that. And there are some report settings too. Yeah, in this we will not be using report settings, but that's typically most of the time you will be using the fields and pulling in those fields to be displayed in your form. Under the controls, there are different controls available. You have the label. So if you click on the label and add it, it allows you to add any new label. So you can see here field 20, that is the which we added. And you can see that's the text. So this is the label text, and that's the control name. Okay, so I can print whatever, maybe test 1, 2, 3. So that's what is going to be displayed. So when the PO run, it displays that label. But if you want to print something like telephone number, okay, if you put it in brackets starting with a $sign and between the parentheses, it automatically converts that or replaces that with the label master. That's what it does. Okay. So that's one way to do it.
You put script.
I'm sorry.
Can you put scripts on the label? Script.
You can put scripts on the label as long as you do it here. Group header 0, you
Yeah.
have to do it here, and you would add, like, for example, it was field 20, isn't it? Field 20. So you can say dynamically you want to populate field 20 dot text equals
To whatever. Yeah, I
1,
understand.
2, 3, 4,
Say
like that. You can do that.
German
Yeah.
supplier,
Yeah.
you want to put a note there. But
Something. So, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah,
different supplier, you
Yeah.
might require a different number. So if
Yeah.
you have a tick box that it's tick, that it's saying, let's say you have a customer concern and you need to print something on the label as well.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do that. So you can control it dynamically. You can
It's
say
good
that.
to know. It's not necessary we're going to use it.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can add it in the on print event of that section. Okay.
But
So
we do together. So,
if this label is in the group header section, you
okay.
need to add it to that script. Okay.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
No problem. You can add calculated field. So here, this is not a good example, but I'll show you a little later. But if you want to add any unbound picture, if you want to display, for example, terms and conditions or something, you can add it as a PDF and add it as an unbound picture, or you can even having barcode. So these are barcodes for the PO number. So you can have a 2D barcode for the PO number. If you add the barcode here, so that's my 2D barcode. And then here, text, I can map the field which I want to barcode. So it would be, I can go to the fields, data fields.
This is useful.
I can say, if I know the field, I can just name it. So I know the field, I'll say PO underscore number. So as long as it identifies that field from the data, it grays out. You see, it has grayed out that field. That means it has identified the field. If I put any field which is not identifiable, 1, 2, 3 or something, you can see this, it's still not grayed out. That means that field is not identified. So there is some error in it. Okay. So if I do that, it will, so whenever you're using 2D barcode, one thing which you need to make sure is having the right width of it. You can add linear, so normal barcode as well. There are multiple barcode type which we support: code 39, code 128, EN8. So these are all the barcode types which we support. Okay. And here again, you have to map it to the field which you want to. So that's the text. So I can.
And the data that it says. So data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's the text which you want to change. Okay. So when you preview it now, and if I run it, so you can see the barcode for the PO number and the PO number barcode as well, the 2D barcode and normal barcode.
Yep.
Okay. Just make sure whenever you add the barcode, that's my design, make sure the text fits in that space. At times, sometimes people add the barcode and it doesn't fit in, the text itself doesn't fit in, so the scanning will not work. So just increase the width of it, then it'll work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There is line break as well. You can put a line if you want. So in this case, say for example, if I want to put a line after my group header, I can add this line. Just add the line here. So it will print a line after my supplier information. If I want to put a page break, I can add a page break object as well. So these are all the objects which are common components which are available under the controls.
So you got the page
Okay.
break, you want to print it separate, each report for each
Yeah,
order.
you can do that.
Yeah.
So right now,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is handled by PO number field and PO number site field. So if you run a group of POs, for example, if I go here and if I run a range, 125923. Oh, okay. I do not have the break. Start the page break here and make my group one visible as true. And run this now. No, update, no. Okay, so you can see that each PO is on a separate page now.
Okay, this is useful for some stuff. Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right.
You put the page footer to non-visible if you don't want to see the.
Yeah. So
No.
my group footer 0, I don't have anything. So by default, it is always as false. But if I want to display something, for example, at the end of my PO number, I want to print some terms and condition or something. So I can add a label. So for example, here I can say I'll display this as visible as true. And in my field section, mirror terms and conditions. Okay.
Okay.
And then I did that on the other one. Sorry.
Yeah, you put the page break on the group.
Right. That's the reason. 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Save the terms and conditions
Yeah.
for each PO.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you remove this search criteria? Is this the page?
Yeah. Remember, this is something which I explained you. End of report, you can remove that. Okay. So it will not print the end of report as well. So remember on the first day I told you when you run the preview in the settings, there is this term search criteria display. If you print as none, apply.
Yeah.
Then you can Run it as a range again. Run it. So if I go to the last page, it doesn't print that terms and conditions. Sorry, it doesn't print the report criteria anymore. And also the end of report is also gone. Remember on the first day when we did the same thing, but it still printed the end of report? That was because the design itself had the footer with end of report. So I removed that as well. So now it doesn't print it anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we looked at the report section, we looked at the data section, we looked at the control section, and we looked at the properties. So there are a lot of properties here. You can change the back color. So like this one where we change the back color of this label. You can change the font if you want. If you want to change the forecolor of the label or any object, you can do that. There is bonds, which is your height, left, and width. Any object, you can make it visible. Say, for example, you don't want the 2D barcode, okay? But you still want that to be there. You want to make it as visible as false. So you can just change it to visible as false. You never know later on if the user would say, oh, you know what? I want the 2D barcode back on my design. So in that case, you would still keep it, but make the visible property as false. Then it will not be visible, but it will stay in the design as long as what we want.
We never remember that we'd made it not visible. You feel like,
Yeah. You can also have force page break. That means after group footer 0, I want to force page break as true. So instead of adding that page break object, I can say force page break after the section. So I say after, so that means after group footer 0, there will be a page break automatically.
We usually probably make it after the footer of the page.
Yeah.
Within the
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any questions till now?
maybe I'm preempting where you're going next, but at the moment, the only temp table we've got is the PO master.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's a good segue. Before I go to that, there is let's go there. Before I go there, there is also objects here. So when you go back to the reports, do a right click on it. There is create sub report. You have rename option, you have data source option, and you have sorting and grouping options. Okay. If you want to group your POs by, say, for example, I want to display my POs by order date, not by PO number. You could do additional sorting. You can go to the sorting and grouping, click on it. It will open an object here. So these are the groupings which we had added when we started with the report. You can add more if you want. You can say add, and you can say by order date or something.
By vendor or something.
Yeah.
By
site.
Yeah.
And then you can select the object here. PO order date, ascending order. And you can move your groupings as well. So if I want to move my order date as my first one, so I can just move it and then say, okay. So what it'll do is it'll add the grouping here. So you can see it added one more grouping by order date.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are examples where, say for example, in our Merrill inventory report, you want to group it by site. You can group it by site, by location, whatever grouping you want. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at this moment, we can look at the sub reports now. Okay. So till now we have worked with the PO master. Now I want to add one more table, which is the PO detail. That's where my item information is.
Yeah.
So how do I do that? I go to the object where I want to add the sub report to. Do a right click and create sub report. So when I say create sub report, it opens the report wizard again. But one thing which you may see different is it doesn't show you the data source, because the data source, it is already the QAD underscore print PO. That's already that. So you're working on and adding more tables under it. So it starts directly from selection of your temp table. So and it also did not give you the template option because you're already in the template. Okay. So you select the PO detail, which is the next temp table which I want to add. So I would select PO detail, do next. I would do the same portrait column because I want to display my line detail in column.
Yeah.
I would say next. Here I would select, I will not have any grouping. I do not need grouping. I will pre-select the fields which I need, which is the line number,
Yeah.
TOD part,
Yeah.
POD or POD UM.
Yeah. Unit of measure, yeah.
And POD quantity ordered, POD quantity received. I would add the
Price, yeah.
this cost. What else?
Description.
Yeah.
You want the item description, isn't it? Let me see if I can. I do have those. Yeah, part description. But I would add that under, not in the column, but under the item itself. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would add the extended cost as well, which is the extended cost. Okay. So that's it. I would do next.
Yeah.
And finish. Once I do that, you see the plus sign came. That is because I've added the object already. I know what to add. So what I'll do is I'll start from the detail and just plus and drag it all the way to the end. Okay.
Yeah.
So it adds that object. And if I double click it, you'll see my header with the labels. What I've selected, I can maybe change the back color of it to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long does it take to start speaking QAD language?
20 years.
It takes quite some time. Why do you ask me that?
Feels like you're selecting stuff that have no meaning to me. I know what you're doing. I understand the logic of what you're doing, but just the names throwing me off.
And
Do you mean the field itself? Like
the field. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, so pardon me for that because it comes by experience. I've been with the company for 20 years now, so I'm familiar with the field names of the PO. Because when I say POD line, that's the line of the PO. When I say POD part, that's a field name for the purchase order item. That comes by experience.
This part of the field name, so the POD before the underscore.
Yeah. So the naming convention which we follow throughout is, yeah, POD stands for purchase order detail, followed by underscore and
Yeah.
Purely
It's going to take time to learn this.
Oh
but,
God, yeah.
but this,
oh yeah.
the things that you're doing, because I've
Mm.
done some complicated Excel tables with a lot of stuff behind them, and I work with the Visual Basic Studio and code as well. All of this,
Mhm.
it's very familiar to me, so that's why I understand it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the names is just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
I know. Yeah, it comes by experience,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's why I shared this in a previous a couple of hours ago. I shared the technical documentation, which will help you really
Okay.
with the table names and the how those tables are joined for each other. Yeah, that really helps.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we added the fields now. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and preview it. How does it look like? Okay. So if I run it for a range of POs,
Why do you change this to no? What's that?
the reason I changed this to no unprinted POs only because the POs, when we print a PO and when we say update as true, these POs are already, there is a field in the purchase order maintenance called print PO. If I run it with update, it already updates that field. So if I run it with unprinted POs only as yes, that means it will only print those POs which has the PO print flag as no.
Okay.
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 So if I
Yeah.
want to reprint a PO, I would have to run it with no. That's why I'm running it with no. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes
All right.
sense.
Yeah.
They,
All right. So let's go ahead and run it.
So if you left update as yes, to the POs that have been printed,
Also,
say, I'm going to change it. Say yes, it's been
I've
done.
been printed. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. So you just okay.
Because they're just testing. We just
Yeah,
we don't know.
we don't know. Put it then. No.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
from
Let's
them.
to slow down. I think it's just okay. Yeah, you see here now, there are certain, yeah, so it's trying to print all the items. I believe some of the POs are,
Why the field names are with the underscores in that?
yeah, the reason is there is no label called POD quantity order. That's why it's printing the label itself instead of translating it. Okay.
Yeah, you can even rename them.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the
Yeah,
title?
the titles. Yeah,
Yeah.
the labels.
It's not pulling through the labels from the dictionary. Why is that?
Page break.
Say
Say,
you did that not pod underscore. You don't feel that.
No.
close this some of these. Okay, I had this page break. That's why it's adding one more page. So let me just run it again. And I'll say no. And I'll go ahead and save this range.
Next week, human resources. You got me. That's why.
So you can see here, it's already printing all the lines. Okay. And
Why has it got one for every one of the lines on that one PO?
That's the line number.
Yeah,
can
I
you
know.
tell me why?
It's order, they can't all be line one, can they?
Yeah, but it's a scheduled order though as well.
Even so.
I'm going to remove this as well. That I don't want the.
Line order, one line.
Yeah.
So we don't have, we have multiple orders on, sorry, multiple lines on one schedule order. Yeah. So you expect to see one.
Schedule order.
Okay. Ordered. Then it'd be line one, line one.
Which is fine.
But you'd have a different order.
Cool.
Yeah, you'd have a different order, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13021 has only line 1,
Yeah.
only one item. 123271 has only one line. 1GG0410. Okay, if you look at this, get your view. No, this
So we wouldn't have expected to see multiple detail lines under the one order.
yeah. Think I can give you one clue. There is data set being sent from the proxy, and there is a data set on the .NET UI which we are working on. So on the layout, when I'm adding the data set, it's just the data set what has been returned from the program.
So is it not linked
And
to the PO?
it's an individual sub-report. Yeah, exactly. So if you think about it, it is an individual report which I've added in the detail section. I still haven't linked the PO of the header PO. I haven't still linked it. Okay, that's the reason it's printing multiple lines below. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I need to do is I need to link it. Yeah. So to link it, I need to select the sub report. Where I click, there is link sub report. I need to
Where are you?
open
for you to
the
click.
master and the detail. In here,
Okay.
Where did you click, Moshe?
yeah, I need to click on the sub report itself.
Okay, onto the
On the object of the details that you created.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the object. So because this is my object, right? The sub report is my object under the detail section. Yeah, I do a right click on. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the link sub report. That will open the link sub report option. In here, I need to select the PO number.
Yeah.
PO number. And must match sub report field, the child, which is POD number, which is the
detail.
Yeah, this is
POD number.
language.
This is the purchase order master. Yeah, so this is the purchase order number on the header table, and the PO underscore master. That's the purchase order master header table. POD number is the purchase order number in the detail table. So you can see, Georgie, you can see it's purchase order number, purchase order detail number. So that's how it is linked. So once you link it,
is going to be the detail of this purchase order. Okay, now this is clear now. Okay. I still don't understand why the labels doesn't run through the, like he said.
Okay.
The labels.
So now
the labels on the.
the labels on the detail section. I'll show you why. Once it is run, should show only one line based on the peer.
You only use a low data, that's why it's low, because of your objective on PC. It's pulling all the capability.
Memory or not? So the rendering process is taking time.
There's nobody in the engineering department, they're all on the field building stuff, so nobody's using any capabilities that.
This is not on our network. This is all cloud, isn't it? It's not running.
It's Wednesday, end of the month, so everybody's producing something. Right?
Not here. It wouldn't
Not
affect
here,
it.
not the cloud, I mean.
Yeah, maybe. It's kind of slow, huh?
It should be faster in your cloud network. I'm not sure. Maybe it is because of the environment as well.
Oh, that's very quick.
Okay, now you see it is only printing one line for that PO, 123021,
Yeah,
and that's the another one.
yeah, that's more like it.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's printing this section twice. I may have to check that as well. But you get the point here on the detail. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Georgie was asking about this labels. Why is it printing POD underscore quantity order?
Yeah.
To look at
Yeah.
this, I put it under parentheses, POD quantity order. There is no label called POD quantity order. So if you go to label master, browse, and look for that term equals nothing, no records found. Yeah. So if I change this into quantity order, I have quantity ordered. So you can label, medium label and short label. Depending on how much width I have, it will pick the right label. Okay, let's look at that. You can see here quantity order, that label has been replaced now with the, from the term label, it goes and fetches the label. This is happening in the pre-rendering engine from the architecture. It opens up, looks at the label term, translates it based on the user's language and displays it.
Yeah. We can put whatever we want because it's a document. If it's an external document, it might go to Germany. You need to follow these Euro rules so the engine can translate it. But if it's an internal, you can put Steve flat topic slow and this sums it up.
Yeah, if it's a document which is going,
I don't really understand by default why it doesn't pull the description from the schema. Why you put for, but just by default, it seems like for every field you've got to go and tell.
No, it doesn't do that. Because I put it under the parentheses. That's why. And it doesn't pick from the schema. No, it doesn't do that. Yeah, like how it does for at least your progress programs. It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah, we've learned something there. Okay.
Now, if you want to add more fields from here, again, you have to select that subreport, you go to the data, you'll see only those fields, which is part of POD deck, which is
from the subgroup that you select.
I wanted to add the description.
Okay.
Yeah, on the subreport, I select that. and then go to the data. And then now I only see the fields from PO detail. So now I can add the description. I can add it here. And I can show you one more thing. So I can minimize this and add that. As you know, the space is pretty important. What I do is I added this, but made the field height as minimal as I can. There is something called as can grow and can shrink, and I will say that can grow is true and shrink is
Can
true.
okay. Can
Yeah,
shrink
so this
true.
is if it, yeah, can shrink is true. So both the properties, when I say true, it will only use that space if I have value in it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
If it's empty, it doesn't use any space.
for
Yeah,
an item,
okay.
it will not use that space.
Basically, cannot 10,000 things there, and if they have no values, they're not going to show up.
So you can see now it prints the description 1 and description 2 under it, under the.
Okay.
So you can add as many objects you want from here. All that is there. Now, if you want to add one more, you can still do that. You go to the sub-report, add sub-report again under it. So say, for example, the PO line comments. If the PO has line comments under it, you want to display that, but it is stored in another temp table. So you can go to the sub-report. There is TT comment, which is the
Use
line
now.
comment table. And you can add that again and add it. So you can add all the sub-reports however you want. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions till now?
Yeah. I don't have any.
Uh, no, I don't think so.
You sent me the dictionary about this Klingon language, so yeah, okay, I have the language. Good.
I did send to Gary, but I can send it to all three of you. Forwarded that to you.
Okay.
Right. Show you
So on
is,
the
if say for example, if you want to.
one sec. So at the moment, all the
Gary.
now I've got the $sign and the labels are in brackets. So does that mean that all of those now will go to the label master to get the description, or was it just it's just the one field?
Yeah, it will always go to, yes. If I put that in brackets, it always goes and tries to fetch from the label term. But if the label term is not there, it prints whatever is there in the parent. So in this case, POD pot is not a valid label term. It still prints it. Still prints what you have here. Okay, but again, it's in parentheses. So,
but if you only do it from the POD, like, is the PO have the translations? So if this is without the D, if it's a PO,
again, sorry, can you repeat it?
if this is just a PO underscore whatever it was.
It was the order, wasn't it? The order quantity or something we changed.
Yeah.
So can you show us? So I understand what you're saying. So we put the dollar and the field name in brackets, but that will look up against the label master. And if the label master doesn't return a value, it will still have the field name in there.
Yeah, but he's got to display whatever is in the bracket.
So for the one that we changed, where did we tell it what label we wanted the field header to say?
I lost you for a. Repeat your question, Gary.
Okay, so So the field headers that we've got at the moment are the field names, but by having the dollar field name in brackets, it will try and look up against label master. If label master doesn't return a value, where did we change the PO ord quantity so that it said PO ord quantity and not PO underscore?
In the text. So if you look at the object itself here in the property and here.
Right, just leave that there a second. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You don't have to bother with that.
All right. There are certain conditions in which you want to back to your master. There is if you go to all the way to the top there. So this is your report property itself. So if you click on the header and go to the top, very top on this line, it shows you the report property, and the report here. There is something called as expose script objects. When you say expose script object as true, that's when if you have defined any variable on your header, you can get the value accessed in your detail section. Okay, so for example, on open, if I say dt integer is equal to 0, and in my detail can just add the calculated field. Okay, you see the 0 here? That is coming from my header. Okay, so I assign my value as 0. So this way, we can expose the scripts. So that means any value which I've used in my header, I want to use it in my details sub report. That's how we pass it. You need to say expose script object as true. Then whatever field which you have used, or if say for example you have used a VB script and assigned a local variable, and you want to use that in the details section, you can assign it or use the VB script. Maybe in the group header 1, you have calculated that field. Now you want to use it in the details section. You go to the details section and use it. Same you do individually as well. So for example, subreport 1, that also has a expose script object, because think about this. Each subreport is a report by itself within it. Okay. And now if you have added another subreport under PO detail and you want to use certain fields, you would say script object as true again, and then use under it as well. Okay.
Thanks, Si. On our purchase order detail line, Obviously we're just pulling fields through from the purchase order detail records. Can we add a calculated field on that order detail line?
Yeah, you can. So, say for example, you want to know what is my outstanding quantity, right? So I can increase this. Let me reduce the cost. I want to find enough space there to display that. Maybe there's this one as well. Okay, so now if I want to add a calculated field, I will do that. I'll say data field. If I know the field names, I can just put POD quantity ordered minus POD quantity received is going to be my calculation. That's my open quantity. And I will copy this label, put it here, and I will replace this one to say quantity open.
So how did you bring up the VB to be able to enter that?
When you click on the field, calculated field, it automatically opens the VB scripter.
Okay, so go back a step then. So how did you say add a calculated field?
Go here in the controls.
Yeah. And drag that over.
Calculated field. Just click it. As soon as you click it, it opens the VB script
Okay,
editor.
got it. Yeah, okay.
Okay. You have the field section to select the fields. If you don't know the fields, you could go to the report data fields and select the fields which you want. Okay.
So what?
So,
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
So these are all the fields from PO detail.
Yeah.
If you know the language, you
So I can
just
select, okay, quantity
Okay,
ordered
Yeah.
minus, and I can go back to data fields again, select the fields which I need. So since Georgie may be thinking, oh, how did he know that? So that's with experience again. You could just go and select the field. So that's your, and if you want to add any script object, there are another certain functions which are available. Okay. Functions. And if you want to add any date, there is logical functions. There is report fields which are available. There are strings which are available. So for example, you want to display item description uppercase. You can do that. You can say uppercase. I can't do that now because I'm working on one field. Okay, so that's how I added the quantity open. So that quantity open is quantity order minus quantity received. So when I do that, it opens this plus sign and I go and add wherever I want.
The calculated field that we've added is using fields from that PO row.
Yeah, from the PO det sub-report only.
Yeah, but only on that one row. So you're only able to add two fields together from that one line item. What are you thinking?
I don't understand that. Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Not
So at the moment, you've added.
So for example,
Let me explain then. So you've got a purchase order detail record at the moment, and you've added in a field to subtract the quantity received from the quantity ordered. Yeah. And all of that data is from that one purchase order detail line. So a calculated field can't be across to say, okay, I want to add the quantities together for 4 line items.
Yeah, you have to do that on this, on the
The group footer or something.
in a group. Yeah, in a group. Say for example, let me add one group here. Okay, I would do one group.
So it's going to do it if you get like
Let me
10
add one
likes
group
to it.
here.
Or if you can zoom these two
Yeah, come on,
columns
records.
and do it. Just 2 more calculations you need to add. Zoom the columns and then take one column from the other one. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to, yeah, so what I'll do is I'll move these things into my PO number group. Okay. And then I want to add the quantity, or say for example, my extended cost. Okay. So what I do is I would go here and do report script function, aggregate sum of data fields, again, extended cost. Okay. So I can add it here. So that would be my sum of extended cost total for all the lines.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite flexible in that way. You could also add any more if you want to add any log, VB script. You can do that in the detail section on print. You could add more VB script if you want. Maybe if your quantity open is more than 20 or something, then display it in red color. Or if you want some kind of sorting to be added, you can do that. It's quite flexible in that way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I covered pretty much. Let me go to my presentations because I've been directly working on this. So I'll just go through the presentations. We looked at the toolbar functions. We looked at the wizard function, report selection, resources, template, and data source, the layout step, and the groupings. You can have different groupings as well. How many columns you want to add, you can do that. So if you have number of columns, if you say 2 columns, then it adds 2 columns. Manually working on layout, we looked at the primary toolbar, secondary toolbar, which is the toolbox, the report tabs, creating sub-reports, data tabs, control tabs, and the property panel. This is how it generally works. So your header gets executed at beginning of the report, page header, beginning of each page, group header for each group, detail per data record. That means in our case, PO detail, it's the detail gets executed for each line in the PO detail, then the group footer, page footer, and the footer. Okay. So we looked at the primary toolbars, which is go to actions. So we looked at each of them. Secondary toolbar, it gives you option to select. There is brush, which is basically formatting. So if you have changed, say for example, if I go and change this color to Okay. And now if I want to make the rest of the ones as the same color, so I would select all the objects which I want with this one at the last and just say brush. So that's like format painting.
Yeah.
There is grid options, grid settings. I normally work with grid units as automatic, but if you want to increase, you could do that. Like you can have custom grid settings where you can increase the grid settings.
Can I remove the grid?
You can remove the grid, show grid, which will remove the grid from behind. I always work with grid because it gives me more precision. And bring to front, send to back option, that is more prevalent in, when you have certain objects which you have added, and if you have overlaying it on on with something, so you can send to front. So when you do send to front, I can't access the vendor fields anymore. But if I select that rectangle again, send to back, now I can select the objects from here. Okay. Multiple object positioning tools. That's all these which you see on the top, and here you can see there are decrease, vertical, increase, horizontal spacing. Those are more for precisioning the objects. Report tabs, we looked at data source. Well, we didn't look at the data source. That is one way to know what is your data source for that object. You could switch from one data source to another. But once you start working on a report, you will not change your data source. Okay. We looked at sorting and grouping. We looked at sub-reports. We looked at the data tabs. All the list, the fields shows you the list of available fields from the data source. Parameters shows the list of filter parameter values. And then report settings shows the list of system supplied reports. We looked at the control tabs. We looked at point. We looked at the label, calculated field, unbound picture, line, rectangle, and we looked at the barcode. Properties panel, mainly used to change any property of an object. There are so many properties here. Most of the time we use the, change the text, the name, the bonds to size. It can grow, can shrink. You can also change the back color and have the alignment options changed. You can also change the border style if you want. You can make it more solid so that it puts brackets around it. That's one way to do it. Change it to transparent. Properties panel. Another thing is to see all the objects within a group. You select that particular group. It shows you, if you go here, it shows you all the objects within that group. You can go from one group to another. It's one easy way to look at the report in a more logical way. We looked at translated labels, how to translate a label with the long label, medium label, and short and stacked label. If you don't use $sign with parentheses and the term is the label term. If you follow it with no character at the end, it just uses whatever label fits in that object. If you put SML, S for short label, M for medium label, an L for long label, and then exclamation for the stacked label.
Triggered by entering the label. Field for system memory.
There are certain other fields as well. If we go here, we go to the controls. There are a lot of script options which has been added. Let me bring it up here. Script options, string. Yeah, script objects. There is query number util, where if you want to convert, a word an integer value to words, you can put query number util to words. Like in supplier check print, you want to convert the supplier, the check amount to words. You could use this one. This one example where 2 words will convert the value in your integer into character. Okay.
Good use for.
There are these are certain functions, certain VB script functions which are available. I'm sorry, Georgie, can you repeat?
No, we just talk between us. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so all these functions which you see, these are QAD written functions which are embedded in the designer. Okay. Get map to be. I've used QD translate functions. I haven't, and QD number functions. I haven't used the property util or maps. I haven't used that before. So this is one example where we use the convert the data field containing value of 273 to hard character. Do you have any questions?
I think we're pretty fried, to be honest.
It was quite intense, this one. So if you want me to, I don't want. We looked at some reports. We looked at each of these things, and what I want to explain is already covered here. We looked at the export script objects, and there's an exercise which we did already. And we looked at some VB scripting options, header visible options. You can dynamically change it. Only thing which you need to be aware of is each pane here has 2 scripts, on print and on format. Most of the time we use on print to change any or to add any calculation or dynamically hide certain fields or display certain fields. We use on print. Well, you have 4 scripts or 5 scripts: on close, on arrow.
We lost.
No.
We lost that last 10 seconds. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying is, at the report level, both at the header report and 5 scripts which are available. On close
That's
is executed when there is any error. On no data, there are certain reports which gives you failed report or something. So if you want to not display anything on no data, that's where you put the error. On open, you can add any scripts. And like in this case, I initialized a variable, integer variable. So that's when I add it on page. On each page, you want to add any logic, you do that. But at individual panel, there is on format and on print. These are two scripts which are available.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is some VB script example. In this case, the first one, if uppercase of item part type is finished good, then if it's a finished good, then detail section is made as visible as false. If it's not item type is not finished good, then they display the visible detail. There's another example where if the price is greater than 100, then this is the example where I told you where we replace the control with its own name. This helps you to identify that.
Yeah.
So here, PT price control dot forecolor is set to the forecolor red. Here it is set to forecolor black if the price is greater than 100.
Are there more VB script syntax?
Not in the training material, and we don't teach you VB scripting, but there are a lot of reports which uses that. Okay, so I will show you some examples where there are a lot of high-level VB scripting, but I'll show you that in the next section. I don't want to add too much on the first day.
No.
So yeah, we will look at certain examples tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. So the example tomorrow, can we look at the more? I understand why you've done what you've done with the form. Can we look at more conventional reports tomorrow?
Yeah, we can look at one tomorrow. Yeah, because I want to cover the proxy programs tomorrow. So we'll look at proxy programs, and then we will pick one report which is based off a proxy, and then work on it.
Yeah, I'd like to look at something like the January to December or week numbers where we collect the information and then present it. That's the type of report would be useful for us. Okay,
we can look at the sales by item report, the one which you sent to.
Yeah, I think. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I think. Did you send the report that you extracted with the menu numbers? Did you send that to us or?
Sorry, I lost you there again. I'm not sure where the problem is, but go on, please.
So the yesterday when we were talking about the standard reports with the menu item that you extracted, did you send that to us?
Yeah.
You did? Okay, I'll check. Okay.
I did send across, but if not, then let me send it across to you again. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Kelly, Steve, and Georgie. Votes QRF. Yeah.
More than a couple of gigabits.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No. It's good.
The lowest and the highest was this one, 7 milliseconds. You don't have to know what's it.
Yeah, video categories, right? Yeah.
Okay. So it is role permission view. I think you have your financial. This is down because when I try to run this, okay. All right. So here in the URI, if I put QD-report, that should bring everything. And then I will.
Yeah, right. These standard. Yeah.
Export to Excel.
And where's the report name in there? Is it on the end?
1 second. Let me put this as row reports. Yeah, so that's the label. That's the menu label. Okay, on the first column. That's the URI. That's the report code. This is the report code. This is the menu number. That's the selection.
Yeah, quad underscore. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to send this to you now.
Thank you.
What is the cell indicator on the end? Last column.
Which is one? The cell. That's a selection. So if you say 75, 10, 10, 3, so that is 75, 10, 3, number 30.
Last number on that list.
That's the last number.
So the first bit is the menu, and that's the selection of that menu.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it's on your way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. So if you don't have any other questions, we will stop today's session and I'll share you the recording. Okay.
Thanks, Mochesh.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we will start at 9 again. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.